you and I were texting about it. I was texting a whole bunch of people about it because it was the funniest fucking thing. I'm like, I wish I saw this while we were live. But then again, we would have been live for another 2 hours, so maybe it's for the best that I did not see it. But news broke that WWE is dumping New Orleans for WrestleMania 42. It's old news at this point, but it's worth bringing up because it's just the funniest fucking thing to me that this company made such a big deal about going back to New Orleans. For granted, the third time in 12 years. They were there when you went back in 2014 for 30. They went back only 4 years later for 38. An inferior show, but still, New Orleans is a great area for a wrestling show. I still have not been. Of all the places in the country that I have been to, that is one I have not been to, actually. And I was looking forward to that. But then I saw that not only were they dumping New Orleans for Mania next year, they're going right back, reportedly, to Las Vegas for WrestleMania 42. Largely because of the money factor. And again, they made a big deal about going to New Orleans. They had the fucking Rock announce it, but you could throw this into another announcement that the Rock has done where they pivoted. They pivoted from New Orleans right back to Las Vegas solely for the economic factor alone. And I'll get to my own thoughts in a moment, but I want to get to your reaction, Mr. Marceau. What were you thinking when you saw that? And is this for the better that already they're going right back to Las Vegas for the first time ever, the same city 2 years in a row, I believe?
Yeah, no, I'm actually glad that we didn't react right live in the air because I feel like it would have been a lot of gibberish and a lot of non-thoughtful things. So I'm glad that we waited because I feel like I could articulate it a little bit, digest it a little bit, kind of put my brain into it. So I'm glad we've had a week to kind of sit on this because we haven't really discussed it too much. I was originally surprised, but then I kind of thought about it a little bit more. They were like, oh, the Super Bowl was going to be in New Orleans. Oh, WWE's going to this big announcement. They didn't do it there. I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then closer to I'm pretty sure right for WrestleMania this year they announced it. I'm like, when they had media and all the people down in New Orleans, why didn't they just announce it that's what they did last year for Vegas? Super Bowl's in Vegas. They have the big media week leading the Super Bowl. They announce, oh, next year WrestleMania is going to be in Vegas, and you have all the press there. They didn't do that this year. They said they were going to, but they didn't. So I'm like, it's kind of weird. And then obviously it came out that they switched, and then everyone's going straight to the money thing, which, yes, I totally understand. They made a shit ton of money. They'll most likely make a lot of money again. I mean, I think realistically, it sounds like they want to make Vegas kind of a home base for them, technically, for Mania. And obviously with UFC, they do travel a little bit, but most of the bigger events are in Vegas. They're at T-Mobile Arena. So I see that. And then I kind of also thought about the bigger picture. So we're just thinking, oh my God, they're going back to Vegas because they make so much money. They're going to go back to Vegas again to make so much money. But then when I'm thinking about it, we've been to a few Manias ourselves. And I've done small event planning. I'm not at this stage. But do you know how much easier it is to probably host an event in Vegas with all the extracurriculars they do than going to New Orleans? Or we were in New York. Guess what? They had one thing in Brooklyn. They had one thing in downtown New York. They had one thing in New Jersey. Kind of all over the place. When it comes to Vegas, everything's walking distance. Everything seemed to be centralized from what you said. I mean, everything was they had their little home base. I think it was at the Fontainebleau in Vegas. They had other things on the Strip. You could then walk to the arena. When we went to Orlando, it was oh, you want to go to WWE Access? Well, you got to go to Timbuktu, Orlando, and then the stadium's over here. Oh, you want to go to meet and greets? It's on this other side of Orlando. It's all over the place. And at least with Vegas, everything does seem centralized. So for them, I think it's probably easier, which it's easier for the talent. It's easier for the accessibility, it seems like. And two, it's if they already have a good report, running an event in the same kind of area with the same people, it's just a lot easier when you're planning an event. When you're going around different cities, you could run into different hiccups. And like I said, the centralization of all the activations is just a lot harder. For us, for New Jersey, when we went to WrestleMania, I thought we were all over the place. I didn't have a car, but it just, I don't know. I just feel with Vegas, yes, they're going more for the money because obviously they're going to make a shit ton of money. But two, I think the whole encompass of it is just a lot easier because everything is centralized. Do I want them to go there every year? No. But if they went every 5 years, I wouldn't have an issue with it. But if it's 1 year, so if they do next year Vegas and then they go to one or two places and go right back to Vegas, it'd seem a little early. I think every 5 years would be more appropriate, but I mean, yeah, but I think, like I said, I think the money is a big factor. But like I said, just like the small event planning I have, it does help when everything is like close. Like when you switch things up and you're going all around the place, it's not as consumer friendly. Because we've been in, like, you're Ubering all over the place. Traffic's a mess. At least with Vegas, you could technically walk.
I mean, legitimately, that was the first thing I thought of, having just been there last month. And I mean, we've been there for other shows. We were there for Double or Nothing, you know, the first one 6 years ago. I was there for SummerSlam. That was during COVID, so there really wasn't a whole lot going on. But when we went to Double or Nothing, though, we stayed at the New York. The show was at. Well, did you stay? You were the one that booked that hotel. Did you do that knowing that the MGM Grand, which is where Double or Nothing was, did you do that knowing it was right across that fucking bridge, or was that just a coincidence?
No, I knew it was nearby. I knew we could walk there.
There you go. So, I mean, a lot of people are probably thinking the same thing. Now, obviously, Mania is not at the MGM Grand. It's at Allegiant.
Allegiant Stadium.
Yeah, but did you? No, you haven't gone to Allegiant, right? You've just been there. You've been to Vegas for plenty of other stuff, but you haven't gone to a fucking Raiders game, right, or anything like that.
I have not. No. I've seen where it is. So like I've seen that you can like walk there from the Strip.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Especially when they close down the roads and stuff, which they've done the last few times that I've been. It honestly is not far, even depending on where you are. I mean, I was closer last time. So this past time, I did have to take a taxi from a different hotel to get to where I was staying this past time. But otherwise, I mean, it's not terrible, honestly. And you make a great point. Like, that is my biggest thing at this point. When we went to Mania 35 and had to drive all around Brooklyn, Orlando was bad too. And I mean, I was an idiot. I'm sitting in fucking hour and a half of traffic. I mean, I wasn't even that far from the stadium, but that stadium was a dump too. Allegiant's really nice. It's not a far walk from the regular Strip. And the Fontainebleau was a few miles down the road. That was the home base, like you said, for most of the events and whatnot. The Hall of Fame, among other shit. The convention centers where they had, you know, WWE World or Access, whatever you want to call it. And some of this stuff you do have to take a taxi to, but it's like fucking $10 and it's right down the road. You're not spending $30 to travel to a different city in the same state, which I guarantee you is what's going to happen with SummerSlam later on this year. Because you mentioned New York, New Jersey. That's where Mania was when we went back in 2019. For Mania. They're doing SummerSlam there later this year, and I'm not looking forward to that. I look forward to it because it's close, and I can just drive there, but I do not look forward to going to the whole back and forth and all this other sort of nonsense. But it's a big money thing, and I think they just realize they can make more money off of it, and you make a great point. Don't go there every year, but, you know, the fact that, you know, they can go there every other year, I like that idea. But does it not stand out as just being fucking stupid that they made so much money from Vegas and they're like, you know what, this works. Like, for event planning, it makes a lot of sense. They have their home base and all this other sort of stuff. But does it not stand out as stupid that they would go ahead and make this massive deal about New Orleans? It's not as if it was even rumored and then it didn't happen. They outright announced it, had a logo, probably put event packages on sale, all this other sort of shit. And then they just pivot, and they haven't said it's Vegas yet, but we know it's coming. They already said New Orleans is getting Money in the Bank instead, and they'll get a future Mania at some other point. But then it's like, okay, maybe don't announce it for New Orleans and then go right back to Vegas. I think that's where a lot of the fan frustration comes from. If people just saying it's going to be in the same city back-to-back years, I also understand the frustration there. But the fact you would announce it for New Orleans and then go pivot right back to Vegas the following year after you already said it would be in New Orleans, I can kind of see why people would be pissed off by that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely get where people are coming from. At least it's not like they waited like 6 months and they're like, oh, actually, like, it was only like a month or two after they originally announced that they were going to New Orleans that they hit the Rock pivot on it. But,
yeah,
I mean, I guess my thing is like, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I guess you'll never really find out why. Obviously, it's probably, like I said, money reasons, but like, why couldn't you just do New Orleans? If you already announced it, why don't you just do New Orleans next year and then 43 go to Vegas?
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Like, I guess that's my thing. So, like, why wouldn't you just, I don't know. I guess, like I said, I don't really know. I don't know why you just change it. Maybe, like I said, I don't know, maybe they wanted some kind of deal with, because it sounds like the one with Money in the Bank, like it's like a whole TKO deal. So it's like UFC will go there and something else. I know they like packaging them now together with some kind of like, they'll host multiple events. So I honestly don't know. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I guess the one positive is that they didn't wait too long to like pivot. Like, it'd
Yeah.
be one thing if it was like, we're talking about this in November, and they're like, oh yeah, we're changing it to Vegas now. Like, okay, you announced this 6 months ago. WrestleMania's in 6 months. Like, once of people have already had their stuff booked. Like,
Yeah.
it's only been a month or two. Like, yeah, probably some people may have booked stuff already, but like,
It could have
tickets
been
haven't gone
worse.
on sale. Yeah, it's not like it could have been way worse.
Yeah, it could have been way worse. I mean, it's still an issue, and they definitely should not do this in the future. And I had seen that report that, this would have never happened if Vince McMahon was still in charge, which is true. I mean, he would have been too embarrassed to have done that for all the flaws that Vince has that we can, talk about. That is one that he definitely, that is definitely one thing that he definitely would not have done. So I would avoid that for the future, but we'll see how it shakes out next year. A lot of people are pissed off now, but again, I don't know. Just, from all the times that we've talked about, the whole Vegas thing and the time that we spent there, and I've enjoyed it as well the more times I've gone. I personally, like, this is not a popular answer. I was very excited when I read that. I'm like, New Orleans is seemingly great. Again, you went, you've been there before, and I've heard a lot of great things, and I was excited to check it out. And then I saw, well, they'll get a future Mania. I'm excited to check it out then. I'm just excited to go back to Vegas because it's, it's an expensive city and whatnot, but I'm not out there doing the fucking, shows and all this other shit. I'm just going to the M&M store. I might watch you gamble or something, but that's really about it. I'm just kind of there to have a good time and just watch some wrestling. So, and if I could walk to these places, then, I think that's just as cool. So I'm personally not the person to ask, but I do agree, though. I feel like they should probably space it out a bit better for the future. Going back a bit here for a moment before I move on here, Micah had mentioned he hasn't seen any of the Mission Impossible movies either, but he said, fun fact, Tom Cruise showed up to the movie theater downtown last week in my city. That's fucking crazy. Because he had mentioned, could you imagine watching the movie and the actor just walks in and thanks the crowd purchasing a ticket? Pretty cool. I mean, I'm sure that happens in, like, I don't know where you live, Mike. I know you live in Texas, but I'm sure that's got to be like a bigger city. Like, he's not showing up in bumfuck nowhere here in Connecticut or something. But
he's not showing up in Corpus. He's not showing up in Corpus Christi. I know that.
No, there'd be no one in the theater because their crowds are terrible. Even I'm sure for movies, it had to have been Dallas or Toronto. Not Toronto. Fucking I don't know. Some other.
Toronto, Texas.
What am I thinking of? Arlington? But what starts with a T in Texas?
San Antonio?
San Antonio. That has nothing to do with Toronto, I guess. But I think that's what I was thinking of. Antonio, Toronto. That's probably what I was thinking. I'm off my rocker right now. Fernando said it's a middle finger to New Orleans fans. Yeah, he went to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. I'm sure that's a blast. I mean, you loved New Orleans when you went, right? I say a few years ago. At this point, it's back in 2014. But you enjoyed your time there, right?
It was good. I mean, I wasn't of age to consume alcohol yet, so it wasn't as. I guess I didn't get the full experience. I mean, I thought it was decent. I mean, it wasn't like we didn't like stay in the area, so like I couldn't give you the full experience. But I mean, if I was comparing the two from a brief just overview, I would probably lean Vegas over New Orleans. But like I wasn't really in the area. But I mean, a ton of people talk about how great like the New Orleans vibes are and like the food and all that stuff. But like when I went, it was strictly like I got there the day of WrestleMania, went to the show and left. But I mean, yeah, from what I saw, I would probably lean Vegas over of New Orleans of what I know of.
Yeah, New Orleans, I was told like stuff is closer there too, but it's not Vegas. I'm not saying you should always go to Vegas just because stuff is closer. I mean, you're not going to go there I mean, by that criteria, you just go there for every big show. Which honestly, like I said, I wouldn't complain. Just me personally. But, maybe they'll just reuse the same set and shit. I mean, it's definitely lazy in that respect. But, maybe it ends up being, a success 2 years in a row and people change their tune on it. I mean, I really would not get in the habit of doing that, but at least it does have some positives, I would say, because I feel like it worked out for the most part. But I will say this as well. If they go back to Vegas next year, which it's looking like they will, I talked to you about this a lot with Mania this past year. They got to do less shit. Like this stuff with like the fucking nightclub, it was just stupid. It was a mess. I mean, some of it was a success. Some of it was just completely ridiculous. They're doing World. They're doing 1 million appearances that people aren't showing up on time for. And I'm not talking about the fans. I'm talking about like Bianca Belair. And it's not her fault. It's because they have her here doing these other things. And everything's close, so there really isn't an excuse. But they have her doing 1 million other things that she can't make her appearance at World on time, and people are paying $100 to meet her that don't end up getting meet her. It's like, oh, you don't get Bianca, but we'll still get your $100 worth to meet Akira Tozawa instead. Like, no, that's just fucking stupid. Like, you got to avoid that shit for the future.